Over the last few months, I've spoken to over 100 people who seem to have one very common problem. That is, they're struggling to increase their strength, whether it might be the pull ups, chin ups, dips, or even the skill based training. And after hearing you guys out during my 15-minute consultation calls that I currently offer, I began to notice a reoccurring trend amongst every single one of those who have this common problem regarding why one's strength isn't even improving. And the point of the matter is, it all ties back to this one main principle. So in this video, I'm going to be revealing a conversation that I had with one of my subscribers and reveal how you may be making this common mistake. So on September 17th, one of my subscribers had booked a call with me, and in preparation for the call, he left a note saying the following: I need help structuring a routine after hitting plateaus here and there, which gave me the impression that Zakaria may open up a worm of questions, whether it's the exercise selection, the sequencing of exercises within each session, and many more other topics that I commonly hear about when it comes to structuring a routine. So with that being said, let's take a deeper look into what he has to say. And for added context, we're going to be addressing mainly how he trains the weighted pull-ups and weighted dips. Awesome. Zakaria, nice to meet you, man. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing?
All is good, alhamdulillah. So how do you train your pull-ups and dips? Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
So on the pull days, I have like the first 3 sets, I'd be doing 5 by 5. And then the next 2 sets, I'll be just holding a static hold for like 30 seconds. And then the last 3 reps, I'll just be decreasing the load. So it'll be, let's say five reps for like 17.5. And then the next one will be 15 kg for as many as I can do, and then 10 kg for as many as I can do. And then I just burn out without weight for as many as I can.
Now, after watching this clip again, I really wish that I had asked him exactly how he trained his static weighted calisthenic movements and the reason behind why he did it. Because if it was for the purpose of improving his sticking points, which is the most difficult part of a particular range of motion on an exercise, such as for the pull-ups, it's getting the chin above the bar, or the dips where you're pressing out from the bottom portion of the dip, or even that last bit where you're trying to get that full elbow extension. Because it will be more productive to train pause reps with the chin-ups, whether it's pausing at the bottom during the dead hang or pausing at the top where your chin is above the bar, which isn't necessarily static training by definition. But sometimes a lot of folks just simply get the terminology incorrect and mixed up. So if we're going by the textbook definition of static, where he's simply at the dead hang position of the pull-up during the entire set, this unfortunately wouldn't be the most productive nor specific enough to increase one's pull-up strength, as you're not taking the necessary muscles or training within a dynamic range of motion. If anything, you're just training to further improve your grip strength, which will give you the sole purpose of getting better at hanging on the bar. That's more specific to endurance-based training, not necessarily strength-based training. Let's not get the two training principles and goals confused. All right, so enough of that. Let's get to the point of Zakaria's current training routine when it comes to the weighted pull-ups. And for the sake of not repeating the information so many times and keeping it nice and condensed, we're going to be sticking with just the pull-ups, as this information can really be applied to the weighted dips, as they fall within the same principles and categories of training strategies. So he mentions how he can train 3 sets of 5 reps with 25 kg. Okay, that's no problem. This is actually something that I promote as well for my novice-based weighted calisthenic enthusiast. Then in that same session, he does an additional 2 sets, but this time it's static. And I mentioned we don't know exactly what that static based training is, but he does 2 static sets with that same load, which is 25 kg, for about 30 seconds, which give or take is his failure. But again, no problem. However, he then begins to explain to me that he does 4 additional drop sets within that same session, and I'll actually play a clip to showcase exactly what he means by that.
Yeah, so 5 reps of the weight that I'm doing.
Okay.
Those are the first 3 sets. And then the
Statics.
next 2 sets will just be statics exactly for like 30 seconds. And then the last 3, I'll just be deloading. So 17.5, and then 15, and then 12.5, and then I just burn out without weight.
And are you doing this both sessions or just one of the sessions?
I do this for both.
So this is where potential concerns seem to arise. Now, I'm all for drop sets if implemented correctly. And for the purpose of increasing one's overall strength on the way to pull-ups, which is the purpose and goal of the caller's priority, drop sets unfortunately do not stimulate nor improve your strength adaptations at a measurable rate. It's just not simply ideal. In fact, according to a study published in 2023, there was a systematic review on the effects of drop sets on skeletal muscular hypertrophy. And the key points of this study indicated that, in general, there was no significant difference in hypertrophy measurements between the drop set and traditional training groups. Drop sets can be used to maximize muscle hypertrophy for those with limited time for training. And also, this strategy can increase the time under load, elevating metabolic stress, ischemia, which are proposed mechanisms of muscle hypertrophy. So to pretty much summarize it, drop sets are effective for building muscle and if individuals have a constraint in time in the gym. However, there's very little evidences to indicate that drop sets are effective for increasing one's strength. And it's because whenever your purpose is to train for strength, training to failure is not the goal. That is simply not how one increases strength adaptations at an optimal route. Rather, it's how one increases muscular hypertrophy. So in reality, doing these 4 additional drop sets will just be junk volume for the purpose of strength training, but it would be productive for building muscle. Again, this is taken it within the context of him trying to maximize his strength results, not necessarily trying to figure out how to optimize strength and hypertrophy. So that's one concern that I wanted to highlight real quickly, but it does get even better. He does begin to mention that he trains his weighted pull-ups in this exact manner 2 times per week using the same load. So let's quickly forget about the drop sets and even the static sets. If we're simply looking at his working sets, where he's doing 3 sets of 5 reps with 25 kg on his weighted pull-ups and begins to use that exact same training format on the same week on another day, this is where ultimately real concerns and issues will come about if one continues to train this way for an extended duration. Because in this case, my boy, you are not managing your intensities nor varying the loads. So this is what I had to say to him about this major concern that a lot of people unfortunately make. You're doing good to the fact that you're training twice a week. You know, you're doing a movement twice a week. That's important. Now, the thing is that you mentioned was a big red flag was that you're using the same loads for both sessions. Meaning, let's say you're doing 20 kg on pull-ups for 5 reps. If you're doing that twice per week, you're not giving your body the chance to recover. And additionally to that, you're going to be stimulating too much stress on a body in itself. So whenever your one is training with high intensities too many times per week, that will eventually result in you plateauing much quicker. Because take this for example, if one can train at like, let's say 100% intensity, they're putting 100% effort on whatever given exercise, they're only going to be able to train with that same intensity, with that same load and the same technique for so long. So you're pretty much putting yourself in a position where you know you're going to plateau. Now, the thing is with the way I train and how most strength athletes train as well is that they periodize their training. If you wanted to do 3 sets of 5 reps both days in a week, that's fine. But it's important for you to manage those intensities by varying the loads, right? So for example, you could do a high intensity day and then a moderate intensity day on a second weighted pull-up session. So that's one route right there that you can start doing in order to vary your intensities. So then that way you're not putting your body in a position where it's constantly inducing high levels of stress.
Okay.
Does that part make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Same concept applies to the dips as well.
So instead of like the 20 kg on the second weight day, I can start from like 10 and then decrease?
If you're doing 3 sets of 5 reps, both sessions, yeah. It's important to vary the intensities, 100%. Now, I do want to mention that if one does decide to train within the same loads multiple times per week, they have to still manage their intensities. Meaning you can have a heavy day and then a moderate day where your heavy day is quote unquote, 25 kg. And then your moderate day is quote unquote, a reduction of that. So let's say 15 kg. And even on that moderate day, you can still incorporate the skill-based or technique-based training to improve your sticking points, such as pause reps, negatives, and so on. This will all help you improve and reach further strength adaptations. Now, if you want to learn more and get better understanding about how to incorporate this technique-based training, or perhaps get a better understanding on periodizing your menstrual cycles, aka training blocks, by managing one's intensities, volume, then I highly recommend you watch this video where I talk about everything you need to know about weighted calisthenics. But hey, what do I know? If you want to see more content like this, be sure to follow me, man. I'm Tough Fitness Guy here, no cap.
Cobra Trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's #1 out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.